Welcome, Miracles Attraction Community on Facebook and Miracles Tribe members. I'm Teresa McGallagher, joined by my partner, Carly Judd Hardy. And today we have another fascinating guest for you in our series on people whose lives have been positively transformed by their practice of A Course in Miracles. Our guest is Frances Sue, coming from Utah, and Carly will tell you all about her.
Welcome, Frances. We're so happy to have you with us. And the Course in Miracles really did change Frances's life. She now is a public speaker and a teacher for A Course in Miracles, but she grew up, interestingly enough, as an atheist. In the middle of a successful career as a financial consultant, she felt an inner calling to leave her old life behind and follow a pathway that would lead her all the way to God. Ever since, Frances has devoted her life to the practical applications of the teachings found in A Course in Miracles. She spent 2 years from 2017 to 2019 directing a documentary. It's called Take Me Home, and it's about the awakening journey through trust and transparency. So welcome today, Frances. We are thrilled to hear your story, a few more details, and also to have you tell us more about the documentary and where people can find you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Teresa and Carly. Thank you so much for this platform and for having me today to share with everybody about my journey. Yeah, it's truly blessing. I can't even say how grateful I am right now about this journey with Jesus. I really see that A Course in Miracles not just changed my life, my earthly life, so to speak, which definitely happened, but what it did was it opened my mind to a reality that I didn't know existed. Like you said earlier, I didn't really grow up with the awareness of the presence of God or Jesus. And when the Course came to my life, it was at a time where I sent out a prayer in my mind that I want to know what is the problem of this life, where I felt I had achieved everything that would get me happiness. And yet I was so far away from happiness. So in my mind, I just basically asked myself, what is the problem? What still is the problem? Like I couldn't see anything in form that I haven't achieved or on the way to achieving. And I didn't have an answer at the time. So I think very, very soon after that little contemplation, I found A Course in Miracles in a bookstore one day, and it really caught my attention because the first quote I read was around healing, and it basically said to the extent that healing can be accomplished the instant that the patient sees no value in suffering. And at the time, I was dealing with a lot of physical pain for the majority of my life, actually. Never could find a real answer or a solution. And my dad was also battling with cancer for the 10 years before. So I was desperate for something in that line. So when I read it, it was so far away from everything I had looked into and I heard about, and yet I felt the truth behind it. The truth was so simple, and yet it's something I have never seen or understood. So I just said to myself, this felt true. And yet, even just kind of sensing that didn't prompt me what I could have done or what I could do from that moment on. So I just thought I'm going to get to the bottom of this if this is true. And I can only say that ever since then, what really happened was that my life took a very different turn, like it took a turn to head to a very different direction. Before that point, I was heading to the direction to build a life of my own, to accumulate enough wealth, financial security, and approval or status, just anything I thought would mean a success or mean that you have done well in this life in order to have a good future. I was heading toward that direction, and then after I picked up the course and I thought, I want to get to the bottom of this, whatever that is, because it's really, I can sense it was beyond healing. It was just beyond physical healing. It was something very, very profound and deep. So from that point on, I actually felt Jesus started to become very present in my awareness, and kind of just start to lay the step right in front of me, one step at the next, saying, okay, this is what's going to happen. And from the first start where he guided me to find a Course in Miracles group, literally 2 houses next door, I didn't even know existed. That was the first night when I actually got the book in my hands and put on my bookshelf. That evening, a friend came to dinner, saw the book on the bookshelf and said, oh, you're reading this? Are you going to a group as well here in Sydney? That's where I was living at the time, Sydney, Australia. I said, I didn't know people have course groups. I'd love to go. Okay, he gave me the phone number. I rang. It was a huge city, you know, Sydney. I was living in the eastern suburb and like a massive city. So I called and I said, I don't know where you are. And he gave me the address. And I thought that was my street and my suburb. And it was like basically 2 houses next door. And I thought, oh, wow, this is very convenient. And when do you have the group? He said, every Monday. And that was a Monday evening, like, and so I said, oh, no, that was a Tuesday. So I said, oh, okay, I missed this week. You know, no problem. I would just see next time, you know, when I have some time on Monday night, I would pop in. And he said, actually, you know, yesterday, which was a Monday, we actually had a birthday party instead because we have someone who had a birthday in our group. So we moved the meeting to tonight, which is in half an hour. Come right now. And so it was so fast. And so I thought, oh, okay. Literally, I was standing at the, you know, at the gate of my apartment building. So I was like, okay, I better just go. There wasn't even no time to think. And that was how I got started. And the group was so welcoming and warm that really opened me up to discuss this. But very soon I just thought I need to discuss this more. I wanted to talk about it all the time, not just once a week. I needed more. So I thought I would, I have this feeling like I want to start my own group so that I can do that whenever I want to. Just feel that's the way I can keep the conversation going. So I started my own group for that reason. And from the second meeting, there was a couple who came and just said, do you know this American teacher called David Hoffmeister? You should check him out. You should listen to what he has to say about the course. Here is his website. And I was like, oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. Basically, I was like, let's just have our own group. I feel very content just by talking. And yet, very soon after, maybe a year after that, but or less, David came from US to Australia, to Sydney, and another couple in my group are hosting him. So they said to me, Francis, can you put this gathering information on your website for us? Because we want people to know about David's gatherings. And I said, I didn't even know who he was. I didn't know about his message. I can't put his gathering information up unless I first check him out first. So I went to his gathering with that intention. I was sitting at the back row, just very stayed back and just wanted to hear what this guy was all about. But I was really, really shaken inside in that 2-hour long gathering. I really realized that this course was about practical spiritual awakening. It was not just about discussing it. And there is a very practical way to actually reach this state of happiness and this state of joy in a consistent basis. So I was like, I see it in this guy, and I wanted that. So that was just like one step at a time, very, very swift. Not something I could ever have planned. And before long, I went to his week-long retreat, David's week-long retreat. I had this direct experience, a huge heart-opening experience, to feel so much love and so much safety. And I thought, why don't I live like this all the time? What is stopping me from living like this all the time? And I'm going to go to America. I'm going to go to his monastery to go through whatever training I need to go through to tap into that kind of consistent state of mind. So that was what I did. I wrapped up my business, and I basically wrapped up everything and left to the monastery. At first, I didn't really think that was going to be a lifelong calling. I thought America at the time, I only could go there for 3 months, without a work visa. So 3 months, probably plenty of time for me to get healed. So I went, and I just had a glimpse of, wow, I was so closed down. I feel so unworthy, and I had so much pain in my body. And I didn't trust anything. I didn't trust people. I definitely didn't trust Jesus or God or guidance. What is even guidance, So but still there was a step all laid in front of me. Everything unfolded very, very effortlessly. And I went to Living Miracles Monastery in Utah, in the US. There was a group of volunteers already there, and I would just plug right in to basically do the healing work day in and day out, share all the thoughts, the emotions that's on my heart that I didn't think it was safe to do so. It was okay to have some kind of dark emotions rising up. It was okay to feel, oh my God, I have this hurtful feelings when someone said this. I don't have to put on a mask and smile. I actually can say, hey guys, can I take a pause? Can I express? I actually feel bad and I need help. These are my thoughts. I must be wrong. Please help me look at it differently. I could actually just do that. And so that was the initial phase. And it just felt really, really life-changing for me to open up like that, open my mind. And I would say it was pretty much one step at a time like that. And I see that truly what happened for me was from a place where I thought there was no other reality than the fact that I was this body in this world, and I needed to build a life of my own in order to have security, in order to have any kind of happiness. It's all on me. And my only reality is this body identification, to this huge opening to, oh my God, my whole pathway is laid out. It's very, very different than what I thought, but it's laid out regardless. And every single step was planned ahead of me by someone extremely loving. And I was the one who was kicking and fighting at first and thinking, oh, this is really bad. No, what about me? That doesn't feel safe. Nobody has done that before. No, I can't do that. But truly, when I step into each and every step, I realized I didn't know how to heal myself, nor did I need to. So the last 14 years, I picked up the course in 2000, I think 2007, 2006. But it wasn't a journey of learning more and understanding more and accumulating more knowledge about spirituality. Instead, it was a journey of realizing, oh my God, I don't need to know anything, and I don't need to plan this awakening journey for myself. I don't need to know how to heal my mind, and yet I can trust so fully. That was really what went on for the last 14 years. Jesus was using time and all the people around me and all the different construct of situations, projects, collaborations, really to convince me only one thing: I got it, and I'm gonna keep planning for you every single step. And you don't have to know. Actually, in actual fact, the more I step forward, the more I feel less of the spirit. I feel spirit steps back. When I step forward into planning, into thinking, into, analyzing anything, how to get anything done, how to move forward on my spiritual journey. But the more I step back, the more I see the spirit in my life. There, Jesus and the spirit and everybody actually is working. They're working to make science very obvious to me. They unfold everything in front of me. So I would say truly A Course in Miracles is a very, very direct path to happiness. Why is that? Because it's a very direct path to step back from trusting our own strength and our own knowledge, self-concept, and body identification. And in doing that, we see, oh my God, spirit is here all the time and is carrying us. And then when the confidence is built, then I could just choose to relax. I can choose to say, then I don't need to worry ever again. And I can just call on you to pray, to ask you to show me. So it becomes just a life of prayer and a life of choosing, to hear only what spirit has to say, what he wants me to do. So that in that sense, it's very, very relaxing. Life becomes extremely relaxing, and it all works out so miraculously. But more importantly, for me, I feel it is a mind shift, completely is a complete shift from thinking this is who I am, this is what I need to trust, to this huge vast openness and realizing this is not who I can trust or who I am, and there is something else I can trust. So
So Frances, would you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done since you came to the US? You came for 3 months and you stayed for 14 years. What happened?
well, the first time round, I only came for 3 months. I had to leave afterwards. So the first 3 months, I was working on a lot of projects. As backdrop, the monastery at the time was just starting, and we were building back and building fountains. So there were a lot of projects that people collaborate together. And for me, it was very new. You know, I was working in corporate and then had my own business, and I also had a lot of friends, but there was, yeah, it was a different context, working for nothing but forgiveness, not working for a goal, but only for forgiveness. So when I suddenly joined with a group of people who just want to use it for forgiveness, it was really, really fun, actually, and exciting, because things just come up when we work together. Oh my God, you look at me this way, you see this, I feel really offended, and you know, all the self-unworthiness, self-hatred just start to project onto each other. And then we could, instead of keep pushing the project going forward, we could just say, hey guys, maybe we want to have an expression session just to see where everybody's at in the mind. Are we churning and, like, you know, started to build a story in our own mind, or can we just share, this is where things are, oh, I'm thinking this. Then everything got clear so quickly. Then we move on. Then we clear. So that was a really fun time, the first 3 months. Then I had to leave, but I just didn't want to leave that kind of context. So I actually bought round the world ticket. I just went wherever David was having a retreat in the world. I just followed basically and served, volunteer in the retreat until they went back to Australia. And that's where, so I went back to Australia. And at that time, after the final retreat in Australia, I thought, okay, maybe that was it. You know, I got no more plan anymore. Nothing was obvious. Here, I'm back home, and maybe I'm gonna continue on with my group and everything. But what happened was, one day I woke up, I dreamed I made a documentary, and that documentary was about the Living Miracles Monastery and how people heal. That documentary dream felt so real to me. I couldn't sit with it. I woke up, I immediately wrote to David, this is what I felt was a spirit next step for me. And I want to come back to the monastery on this date particularly. And he said, yeah, that sounds great. Come back. So I went, thinking I was going to make a documentary movie in 2011. That's when I went back. But Spirit had other plans. Spirit, basically, I went back, and it was, when did I actually make the documentary? 2017. So it was six years. I was there, continuing with this mind training day in and day out. Clear the mind, really clear the emotions, and see the attraction of guilt, and also really lined up in the everyday living, lined up with the Spirit's guidance, and pray together with a group, and then go with what we feel with the guidance. That was the training for 6 years before I actually made the documentary movie. But that was how I went back and never left.
And now you've just started a podcast?
Yes, I just started a podcast last week, but I started to feel in 2014 and 15, I already had a feeling like this a show wants to be born through me. I didn't really know how that was going to look like, but David came up with the name out of the blue comes Francis Zoo. We had a big laugh at the airport when we talked about it, and I loved it. I loved the laughter. I loved the fact that, you know, we really want to tap into the joy. That's what everything is really about. So I had this out of the blue show on YouTube, 2015 and 16. No, I think 2014 and 15. But I was so busy traveling at the time, so I had to stop the show because the travel schedule was picking up so much. And then all my travels got canceled last year, 2020. So I started to feel again this feeling of something wants to come through to be shared. So I thought, wow, this is a perfect time to start a podcast or start a show again. So I choose to use the same name, Out of the Blue Comes Francis Zoo, but just this time is a podcast.
Well, we will post the links to your podcast, your website, and your documentary in the show notes for this interview. And we are so grateful that you were able to join us today, and you have so eloquently expressed your journey from your situation to a life of happiness and being fully supported by divine providence. It's really impressive, and we appreciate you sharing it with us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Carly.